Good.
All
I'm
right, we
glad.
are officially screen recording this, so we are now recording. Okay, so I'm gonna do an intro, and then we'll just like go into it. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Sure.
All right, so this is My Life is a Movie Quote episode. Well, it's episode 2 for this new title, but it's like episode 8 if you count the old episodes. So I'm here with Bob Klein. How's it going, Bob?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm a huge fan of this show, by the way.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
I love it. I can't get enough of it. I listen to it at work all the time.
Well, thank you. And we have Keith Brown returning once again for his 3rd or 4th episode. How's it going, Keith?
It depends on how you count the episodes, right?
I think let's just say this is your 3rd appearance.
Okay. Good, Christian. How are you?
Pretty good. It's kind of cold in here, actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, it's so hot in this room.
Oh, really?
It's
And Bob is in I don't know where he is. He's in
I don't know where I am
he doesn't know
either.
where he is.
There's no lights in this room. There's just a lamp. I was thinking about taking one of the Ari lights from the set to light my podcast, but since this is only audio and no one listening knows what the hell I'm talking about, I think we're good. Hopefully my audio comes out good.
I don't know. I was thinking about putting these on YouTube so maybe people would see your face.
Oh man,
All right.
that's a bummer.
So we had the Golden Globes happening on Sunday. Did you guys both get a chance to watch the show?
I did.
Yeah. I think this was the first time I've ever watched the Golden Globes, to be perfectly honest.
I gotta tell
But I
you,
did it for you.
I think it's better than the Oscars because there's no musical performances. They just do straight to the awards, and it's way more brief. It's not like 4 hours long.
Yeah, it doesn't go over.
No, it's perfect. But before we do that, I kind of want to ask both of you, since we are now into 2017, what was the worst movie you saw of 2016, and what was the best movie you saw in 2016? I know that might be kind of hard to answer on the spot, but Bob, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I posted a list about this recently on Facebook that got a lot of interesting comments. So my least favorite movie of 2016, and my list is purely based off of theater visits. I went to the theater a ton in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I really did not like The Accountant with
Okay.
Ben Affleck. I really hated that movie.
So I didn't see that movie. Was he an accountant who shot people?
I guess I was so bored that I literally just closed my eyes periodically until I finally fell asleep, so I didn't have to go through the movie. Um, but yeah, that was the general sense of it. Wasn't a big fan. We saw it by mistake. I had free tickets to Hacksaw Ridge pre-screening. I was really excited about that,
Yeah,
but
it's supposed to be
apparently
great.
it's like a first come first serve. So we showed up like 5 minutes before the movie screened, thinking it was like a regular movie, and they're like, "Oh, everyone already showed up," and we're like, "Ah, I guess we'll see whatever other movie's playing." So that was kind of a bummer. Didn't really like that movie. My favorite movie by far this year was Arrival. I loved Arrival.
That was with Amy Adams and who was the other actor?
Jeremy Renner and Forrest Whitaker's in it a little too.
Nice. The year of Forrest
So-
Whitaker. He was also in Rogue One.
Yeah. I loved him for the 5 seconds he was in it.
Right. All right, Keith, what about you? Worst and best?
So I just went on Google and searched 2016 movies because I could not remember any movies I saw in 2016. So I would have to say that Sausage Party was the worst movie that I saw. But does it count when you leave the movie? Because I walked out of the movie after I waited in line for 2 hours to get into the movie.
Right, so it depends.
I heard about that.
How long into the movie did you walk out?
After the juice box was getting raped by the douche, I left. So that was probably about maybe 25 minutes into the movie.
So this is Seth Rogen's masterpiece, Sausage Party, that you saw.
Oh
in
my
South by
God.
Southwest, right?
Yeah. And, I went because the students really wanted to go, and there really wasn't anything in that area in that time slot that I really wanted to see. And my friend Jeff was like, let's go to this. And we waited in line to get into the Paramount Theater, and we sat there, and it wasn't even done. So a lot of the coloring wasn't done yet, and like things were missing. And like at one point he was just like, can we leave? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine.
Have you ever walked
So-
out? Have you ever walked out of a movie before at South by Southwest?
Oh, yes. I can't really talk about that because I know the person that made I know a person that was in the movie, but I did walk out and I had to it was one of those theaters where you couldn't walk out easily. You had to be like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. So yeah, I did walk out. Oh, it was really...
That counts. I mean, I purposely fell asleep during the one I hated. You walked out, so
Right.
it's a real testament.
Yeah.
By
so
the way, that
yeah, go
that
ahead.
same list that I made that I was talking about, Sausage Party is my number 3 movie.
Your number 3 what? Best movie?
Best movie of the year. I love Sausage Party. And I really only saw it because I heard about how much you hated it and walked out and I was like, I gotta see this movie.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. So that's hilarious.
And so again, I was zipping through the list because I don't really remember. I mean, I try and see all the Oscar films. So in the beginning of 2016, I was seeing everything that was nominated there. But I think, Cafe Society was out this year. I really we talked about this before, Woody Allen's older stuff, meaning when he is older.
Yeah, every podcast I've had you on,
I say that again.
And it was his first shot on digital, right?
Was it shot? I think
it was shot on digital, but I think it was his first one on digital. It was shot on the one of those beast Sony cameras.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the newer stuff. I think I know what I'm getting. I'm very content with what I'm getting. I sort of can figure out what's gonna happen, and I just enjoy it. So, yeah, I would have to say that one.
Okay, so I have my 2. I get to go too.
Okay.
I'm hosting it.
But you prepared, so I don't know. I feel like this is not... No, you didn't. You didn't know you were going to ask the question?
I knew I was going to ask you guys the question, and then I just realized that maybe I should answer the question as well.
Okay.
So my worst movie I saw this year, I don't go to the theater as much as I want to, but I tried to go more now that I've started doing this. So my worst movie was Office Christmas Party.
I didn't like that either.
I saw that this week.
But I saw that this year.
It was bad. It was not funny.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
This is going to be a fun podcast. I loved that movie.
All that comedic talent and the story. There was that secondary plot where they were trying to save the internet or something. And I kind of...
Oh, that was complete garbage. Right? That was so dumb.
The movie should have just been the party. I just like the party part. That's like This Is the End. Did you ever see This Is the End, either of you?
Yeah, it got weird and religious by the end.
Yeah, I just wanted to see them at the party the whole time.
But the beginning was good. I liked the beginning.
And the best movie I saw this year, which I wrote about on our website, mylifeisamoviequote.com, was Moonlight. It was a beautifully made movie. I recommend it to both of you if you haven't seen it.
And it won Best Drama.
It did. So those were my 2 picks. Okay, so let's go into the Golden Globes recap. It was on Sunday, January... What was that, 8th?
8th,
Yep.
And it looks like the movie I have not seen. Keith, Bob, you didn't see La La Land, right?
I saw La La Land, yeah.
So I'm the only one that hasn't seen La La Land.
Should kick you off the show.
I know, right? Because it pretty much swept the Golden Globes. Maybe either of you can answer this question. What was so great about La La Land?
You should probably go. I saw La La Land, but I had a really bad experience seeing La La Land.
We can tell that story in a second, I think.
Okay. Go ahead. You go, Bob.
I don't know. I really liked it. It was it's like the music was really awesome. Emma Stone for me was like, when I watch musicals, normally I really have a problem with the people it looks fake. It doesn't look like they're singing. It's all re-recorded. It I don't know, it kind of bothers me. The opening scene of the movie, I was like, oh no, it looked so fake to me. I was like, I don't really want to watch the rest of this movie. Emma Stone, to me, looked like she was singing. She did such a good job. I'm really happy that she won the Best Actress at the Golden Globes last night, or the other night. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that was really big for me, and I knew she was going to be pretty good at it because she's so good at Lip Sync Battle and Jimmy Fallon. So that was but the cinematography blew me away. The color schemes, the lighting. It was a fun movie. I think it made it to number 5 on my weird, bizarre list that has Sausage Party on it of movies I liked this year. Yeah, just all around, it was a fun ride. The music was awesome, the acting was awesome. Even John Legend, I thought was really good in it. The cinematography was just a really well done, put together. I still like Whiplash a lot better, but it was good.
Same director that did Whiplash.
Correct. Yeah.
Whiplash was great. Keith, what was your bad experience?
So we went. I was really looking forward to going, and like everything Bob was saying, cinematography, color. Like I feel like I did not experience that because there was something wrong with the projection. Like the movie started, and I was like, "Well, this is interesting." I'm like, everything's so dark, and I was like, I expected this to be like a very bright film, and you know that beginning when they're dancing on the cars, I was like, wow, this exposure is very weird. Like, I think there was something wrong with the bulb and the projector or something like that. And through the whole movie, just getting like darker and then brighter and then darker. And I was like, there's no way this is supposed to be like this.
They ruined the best part of the movie for you.
Yeah. I mean, I complained and got free tickets to go back again. But I'll go see it again. I didn't want to see it right away again because it was just too much all at once. But I'll go see it again. But it was.
Sorry, did you see it at the Warwick, Rhode Island Showcase Cinema?
I did see it at the Warwick Showcase Cinema. Yeah. Well, I don't have that many choices, Christian. Where am I going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my thing. I mean, I enjoy a musical. I think that it's interesting that they try to. I mean, just the previews made me want to see it because I'm like, okay, how are they going to do this? Like, what's the story? Dancing. It's not something you really see that often. So I was really, really hoping for a good experience. I didn't have one, but I enjoyed what I saw. But I really want to see it again. It was really hard for me to concentrate on what was going on because I was so pissed about the image quality.
You probably love that party scene, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That 80s music.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Keith is a big fan of the 80s.
Does anybody not know?
I don't know. I mean, I read that book that I sent you a picture of the book I was reading about the guy who was trying to write an autobiography on John Hughes. So maybe you could read that book sometime.
Well, so somebody sent, I don't know who sent it to me, but that person is going to speak, I think, in Boston. They're going to screen some films and he's going to talk.
The author of the book?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's actually signed by him. So this is Jason Diamond. The book is called Searching for John Hughes. And it's essentially about him like growing up in like he has a tough upbringing and then he like loves John Hughes movies. So he tries to write an autobiography on him and it's kind of a challenge. So you should check it out if you guys are into John Hughes. Which I am sort of and sort of not. I don't know. I don't want to upset you, Keith, so.
Yeah, you're not going to upset me.
I find him just okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about John Hughes now if you want. I don't know where this is going, but
did he win a Golden Globe?
I don't know that. I'm guessing probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another podcast, another time. All right, so we had in the Best Picture drama, the movie I can't stop talking about, Moonlight. Did either of you see Moonlight?
I haven't seen it yet.
No, me neither. It's on my list, of course.
So that was my first experience at the Cable Car Cinema in Providence, Rhode Island.
I can't believe you've never been there before.
I've never been to the Cable Car. It has its flaws, though. There's a giant, bright exit sign right next to the screen.
Well, that's so people don't die, but I get why it's annoying.
And sometimes the sound clips a little bit in the speakers.
Okay.
They turn up too loud. But Moonlight is a must-see movie. I think it's going to win Best Picture at the Oscars. I'm not 100% sure. But that was a crazy
That's bold. That's bold. Wow.
I'm calling it right now, although I haven't seen La La Land, which brings up my next point. Do you think that the Oscars should do what the Golden Globes do and separate drama and comedy for the Best Picture category?
So I kind of like how we have the Golden Globes that kind of distinguishes the difference, and that kind of like sets the tone for like the award season. I think the people who start voting for the Oscars start voting right after the Golden Globes, so it's like a good like starter, and like you won't have the same exact awards as the Golden Globes, which is nice. I think it's more pristine. Like the Oscars to me is like more like pristine, more like, like well thought out. I know you seem to like the Golden Globes a lot better. It's a little more nonchalant. It kind of reminds me of like my varsity awards dinner in high school for like the tennis team, where they're all just sitting at tables and there's no food, even though they all have plates. And then someone gets up and speaks, and just things kind of happen, and like everyone's kind of waiting for everyone to shut up. Like, but yeah, I mean, well, there's no difference there with my high school, but I don't know, something about just like the best movie wins best movie, regardless of what the genre. I kind of like that, and I like, it's even bigger deal if like a musical wins. Like if La La Land wins this year, I think that's a big deal. So,
but then isn't there always a problem where there's a movie nominated for like comedy, but it's not a comedy? Like they brought that up about
The Martian
every year.
yeah.
So Matt Damon won Best Actor in a Comedy at the Golden Globes last year for The Martian, which was not a comedic role.
So why would they put that in comedy? I never really understood that.
I think their definition of comedy is like a little different than what I think a comedy is. Like they do it every year, it seems. I think Colin Farrell was in the comedy actor portion for The Lobster, which I did not laugh at that movie, and I like the movie. Yeah. This is not a funny movie. It's a very like bizarre, like kind of creepy at times movies. So
yeah, I think like you could even put Woody Allen movies in the comedy category at the Golden Globes, even though a lot of them are kind of. When I think of like Annie Hall, like it's a comedy, but it also is kind of depressing. So it's like this weird mix.
Yeah. Anything not like anything lighthearted seems to just get into the comedy portion. I don't know. Yeah. They used to have a sci-fi one too, didn't they? Have a sci-fi portion at one point?
I'm not sure. I've always recently started really paying attention to the Golden Globes after I went to an Oscar party and I was like ready to go home, and we were only halfway through the Oscars, so they're tough for me to watch.
It's long.
It is very long. So, Casey Affleck. Do you guys want to talk about Casey Affleck?
Sure. I haven't seen Manchester by the Sea. Did you see it, Bob?
I did see it.
You did. That's another thing. I tried, but I didn't get in, and I'm going. I got to go to stuff this week and this weekend.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It's like so New England. It's like surprised everyone from up there hasn't seen it. Like the first like 15 minutes, I really had to get used to those accents again.
Yeah,
it was tough. You don't hear that in New Jersey.
It's so weird too because you said you cried at it, which is like not surprising. A lot of people.
I do cry during every movie though. I cried during La La Land.
During Sausage Party.
Sausage
Party, I didn't cry during. It was one of the few.
I cried when the douche was raping the juice box.
Very emotional scene. But Manchester by the Sea is like there's these horrific and like devastating scenes, but also I spent half the movie laughing because it's really funny in parts too. And I thought that was one of the best scripts that I've ever read in my entire life. Not read, but ever seen on screen in my entire life. It was so realistic to how people actually talk in real life.
Yeah, it was the most real movie I've ever seen. It was just like everything about it, just like I felt like I was there. And the acting, there's like everyone from Casey Affleck down to like the pigeons flying in the background. It was beautiful. Like everyone was on point. Like they were really good. I was really impressed. I was very happy with Casey Affleck winning, although his speech was, I
half paid attention to the speeches.
Yeah, and I was kind of bummed out that it lost Best Screenplay to La La Land.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to win Best Screenplay. It still could get it at the Oscars. I don't know.
I think it has a better chance of winning that category at the Oscars. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great movie. You can actually see a review of it on my website, mylifeismoviequote.com. That's my advertising for the episode.
The shameless plug of the episode.
My shameless plug.
I haven't seen the movie, but I was reading things about what people were posting, and it seemed like the biggest criticism I saw was that Casey Affleck plays the same character in every movie that he's in. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I don't know, because I haven't seen a ton of Casey Affleck movies. I've seen like Ocean's 11, and he was a very small role in Ocean's 11. I thought he was great in this movie. Have you seen a lot of Casey Affleck movies?
I mean, the Ocean's movies, I kind of wish he was like brothers with the guy he's brothers with in Ocean's 11 over Ben Affleck. Yeah. I just like that dynamic more than I like Ben and Casey together, but I don't know the guy's name, I'm blanking, but I haven't seen much of him, so that's why it was like a big surprise when like people were talking about him winning Best Actor this year. So I was like, I got to see this movie. Casey Affleck, Best Actor? Like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, but he like $5 million or something.
Yeah, Matt Damon was supposed to do this movie, by the way. He kind of mentioned that in his speech.
I believe he produced it, right?
He produced it. He was supposed to, I think, direct it too, but he was definitely going to star in it. And then he went off and made his weird Great Wall of China movie that looks horrible. Yeah. That I'm going to see because I just don't understand it from the previews, and it just intrigues me how bad it looks. But but I couldn't see Matt Damon really doing a good job in this role. I mean, maybe he would have proved me wrong, but I loved Casey Affleck in it. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he seemed more like a real New Englander than I know Matt Damon's from around here, but Casey Affleck just seemed like a real hardcore New Englander in this movie. And it's also a super weird movie. I didn't think it was going to be as weird as it was, but Keith, you should definitely see it.
Yeah, I will.
All right, so I'm just moving down the list.
We should have a binge party right before the Oscars, just like that binge party we had at Keith's house when we did the 48-hour film festival. And
when I wasn't even there.
Yeah. So Keith, our former professor, has boxes and boxes and boxes of student film submissions on DVD in his basement, and we were staying at his house making a 48-hour film festival movie that weekend, and we watched all of them.
How many hours of student films did you watch?
I mean, it took multiple days. I know you were only there for like a few of the days. Our friend Aiden and we like lived at Keith's house for like a week during the 48 because we stayed the following week to like watch the movie's screen at the local movie theater. So we were there for a long time. It took days. It literally took days.
There's a lot of bad movies in that box.
There are. I won't deny that. There's some gems though.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about a local actress who is no longer local, but Viola Davis. She was in the movie Fences. Bob, did you see Fences?
I haven't seen Fences yet.
So Keith, this is where you come in. So you saw
Yeah.
Fences. How was Viola Davis?
I was so impressed with this movie. Like, Bob, if you cried during every other movie, you're going to cry during this movie.
I'm prepared for that.
You know, the thing is that this movie was a play originally, so it is very theatrical, and it all takes place in one setting, right? It all takes place in their apartment, their backyard, their front yard, inside the apartment. I don't think you ever leave the apartment. And her performance she's amazing. She really is amazing. And Denzel Washington is also amazing. And things happen in that movie that the whole audience gasps because you don't even know it's coming. And I found myself doing it too. And then I sort of laughed a little bit because I was like, okay, we all just gasped collectively.
That was like when I watched Ouija. I don't recommend it. That was my second worst of the year.
Not of the same caliber as Fences.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed in myself. And I just brought that up while we're discussing the Golden Globe winners.
Yeah, it's really. I was just really amazed by it. And there's this one scene that as happens in these types of films, right? It gets very dramatic, and I think it has you got to be careful, I would think, because when you're doing something theatrical, right, it's sort of sometimes it's more over dramatic than it needs to be. But I think it's so believable. The other thing I was really impressed with was the set design because it takes place in, I think, like around 1956 for most of it. And just everything looks really great. But there is one thing that I noticed, and like I couldn't really mention this to the person that I saw it with because she wouldn't really have appreciated it. But there's once when you go to see the movie, there's a section of the movie where Denzel and Viola are getting to a very heated argument. And I was looking at the shots of him and I was like, something's happening here, but I don't know what it is. And then I realized that his single shots were shot through a chain link fence, but the fence is just slightly so out of focus that you can't really see that it's there. But every so often you're like, something's in front of this. Something's between me and what I'm looking at, right?
Is that why it's called Fences?
That's exactly why it's called Fences.
Because there's a fence in the foreground.
And everybody was like, there's a fence there. Yeah, it was really, I was really, really impressed. I was very impressed.
And the sequel is Hidden Fences for everyone.
Correct. Correct. I was so confused about that.
So that was George Bush's daughter, right? Is she the one that did that?
I didn't see that part. Was it her who did that on the?
I believe it was Jenna Bush who did it on the red carpet. She was
okay. I didn't see that red carpet thing.
She was asking somebody from the movie about hidden fences.
Okay.
I don't know if she
And
was talking about hidden figures or if she was talking about fences. I don't know which one she was
Right.
talking about.
which then makes you think that she got all of her movies with black actors confused.
Yes, but I don't
Right.
know
Well,
if that's what happened.
someone did that. Whoever was announcing
Somebody
awards
announced it, yeah.
said hidden fences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happened twice because it also happened at the award show too, which is when I heard it live. But
I can't remember who it was. It was a guy that did it. I'm blanking.
there are just so
Was
many.
it Billy Bob Thornton?
It might have been- he didn't. I don't think he presented, but he did win. And
yeah, he did.
that brings up my next point. There are so many awkward presentations at these award shows. Like it is hard to watch sometimes. You can really tell when the dramatic actors are trying to be funny and they're just failing, and then the comedic actors come out like Steve Carell and Kristen Wiig. Did you see them when they came out and did their routine about like seeing a movie for the first time? And Steve Carell was talking about how like it was the day his father left his mother and he never saw his father again, and that was really funny. But there are definitely some awkward presentations. There was also Meryl
like
Streep.
all of Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, I did want to talk about Jimmy Fallon at some point.
Yeah, sorry.
We had Meryl Streep give her speech. So overall thoughts on the presentations? Either of you?
Well, so just throw a fact in there. Michael Keaton was the one who said hidden fences during the show.
That's who it was. Yes,
you're right.
yes.
Jenna Bush was the one who said it on the red carpet. She said it to singer Pharrell. So you're nominated for Hidden Fences. So the question was about the other stuff, like the non-movie stuff. What we thought about that.
Yeah, what did you think of the banter? That's really what I'm talking about. The banter between presenters or people that won.
I know that I couldn't tell if the banter between Amy and Goldie Hawn was real or staged. Right, I couldn't tell if Goldie Hawn was really that dumb and she couldn't see, or else it was just really shtick. I think it was shtick, but like I was sort of believing that she really had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, they sold that pretty well.
Yeah.
I think it was a shtick as well. It's hard for me to say that word.
But then when they cut to Kurt Russell and Kurt Russell was like, she never wears her glasses, then I was like, okay, well, this was planned.
I'm not an Amy Schumer fan. I don't want to upset people, but I'm really not an Amy Schumer fan. What about you guys? Are you Amy Schumer fans?
I haven't seen. I walked out of that movie too at South by Southwest. What was her movie? Yes, I didn't stay for that. I got bored. But the movie with Goldie Hawn does look sort of funny. Have you seen the trailer for that? Snatched is what the movie's called.
I have not.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look
Check it out. The trailer that I saw in the movie theater was much more funny than the one that's on iTunes.
Okay. So many movies coming out in 2017.
I know. So what else? The Meryl Streep thing was the biggest thing.
Yeah, that was all over. I checked my Facebook after the Golden Globes. It was
yeah.
already all over Facebook, and I was like, do you really have to make that big of a deal of it? Like, I loved her speech personally. And part of me is like, do you really need to go to a political award show? Part of me is like, use your power for good. So I'm kind of mixed on that. But I loved her speech. But, like, does everyone have to go crazy over it? Like,
but you know what? I think that everybody's so frustrated right now. I think most people are so frustrated with everything that the minute there's something that they can latch onto, they're going to latch onto it. Because it's just, other than that, it's like all negative crap that we're reading on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think probably that's why. And then, of course, the first thing we did was check Donald Trump's Twitter feed to see if he had responded yet. And he hadn't responded yet. But, like, I was watching with a group of people in Brooklyn, and we were just waiting to see what happened there.
And
I don't know.
He did respond. Did you see?
Yeah, he eventually responded. And then he sounds like an idiot. He really does. He sounds like a teen girl from 1986 who wants to get back at somebody.
Sounds like a John Hughes movie.
It sounds just like a John Hughes movie.
I can't wait for the Trump movie.
Molly Ringwald for president.
They came out with the Bush movie, pretty close after his years. So hoping for a four-year term and a fifth-year Trump movie.
There's also a Barry movie, Barack Obama movie on Netflix currently. So they're wasting no time.
There's also a what movie?
It's called Barry, and it's about Barack Obama, and it's on Netflix right now.
Why is it called Barry?
That's his name, Barry, Barack. That's what they call him.
Oh, I would never have known that to shorten Barack.
The only time
to
I've heard him being referred as Barry is when Larry Wilmore did his like White House dinner comedy bit.
No, he was known as Barry. Like, you guys don't know him like I do, but he was
apparently. Who plays him?
Barry. No, he plays himself. No, I'm just kidding. Some young actor. I don't know.
Barry Manilow.
It didn't get very good.
Barry Manilow.
Barry
You
Manilow,
rated
yes.
Barry Manilow's wardrobe.
It didn't get very good reviews, so I kind of passed on it. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. But yeah, I'm not sure like what the right setting is to bring up politics, because you immediately alienate a whole group of people.
I love how they cut to Mel Gibson in the middle of the speech, like the one person they thought might be on Trump's side, because everyone else is like in awe, like, I love what you're saying. And then they cut to Mel Gibson, who looked kind of angry, but he always kind of looks angry because he's nuts.
Yeah.
I think the people they cut to in all of these instances are so like they're really thinking about who they should get a reaction from.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My favorite was during the nominations for actor, they like cut to all the people. And there was that one planned camera movement where like Denzel Washington was sitting right near the person who was nominated right before him, and they do like this weird like zoom rack focus thing instead of just like a cut. And it was just like I don't know why that made me laugh, but it really made me laugh.
And you have to figure everyone's drunk, or at least 95% of the people in the room are drunk. Jimmy Fallon,
because they don't serve any food. Where's the
food?
food? They have plates.
Don't they eat? I think they eat before the broadcast starts. No,
Yeah.
Aren't they on the red carpet right before the broadcast?
Oh,
It's gonna
that's
be like
true.
4 in the afternoon or 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
Early dinner.
Maybe
I don't
they
know how
eat
that
after.
They have an
I
after
mean,
party.
they party after. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did watch a little red carpet, only because my Giants disappointed me a lot. So I was like, screw this red carpet. I don't need football anymore. Football's over.
I was out
Actually,
seeing.
I'm sorry. Football is not
No,
over.
go ahead.
Saturday, Patriots, Texans, just so everyone knows.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keith.
I was seeing 20th Century Women that afternoon. That movie that Annette Bening was she nominated for a Golden Globe for that? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
I really like that a lot. I really like the structure of it. It's one of those movies where it introduces the characters in a certain way, and then at some point the characters start talking about, not on screen, but a voiceover about what happened to them later and when they died. It's really interesting, and it's by the director that did Beginners, which I remember really liking, but I don't remember really what the plot was. So I want to go back and rewatch that.
I'm not a Beginners fan. I don't know if it's because I saw it when I was too young to see that type of movie, but it was one of those movies that kind of dragged for me. It was like an art film kind of the way it was made. So I'm not a huge Beginners fan, but
Was that
fun.
movie funny? 20th Century Women? Because I think it was in the comedy category.
There were some funny parts to
okay.
it, but all in all, it was slightly a little depressing for me.
Yeah.
But there were some parts that were really funny, but I don't know if I would consider it a comedy.
That seems to be, what the comedies are at the Golden Globes. Depressing comedies.
Yeah, someone's got to throw out a definition or something. Like when everyone gets confused at the Oscars between the sound mixing and editing awards, and how different movies win both, different ones sometimes.
It's like how the Grammys have Record of the Year and they also have Album of the Year, and I don't know the difference between Record and Album of the Year.
One goes to the artist and one goes to the songwriter.
Oh, is that really why?
Yeah, that's why.
This is why we have Keith on the show.
Yeah, really.
But the Oscars are different though, because the thing is that you also have to think about who's voting for these people, right? So this is the Hollywood Foreign Press, which I had to look up exactly who that is, and it's journalists from 55 countries, it was saying. But then the Oscars are voted for by everybody's peers, so that's very different.
Well, who's the Academy? Who are the
So
Academy?
the Academy, if I'm not mistaken, the Academy is anybody who has a role in a position that's part of the Academy. So, for instance, if you are a producer of something in the industry, I think that you are in a guild and you can actually vote for the Oscars. But I think you only vote within your own category.
Okay.
Right? So I've known people in the past that have gotten screeners because they worked even in TV shows, and then they're in the guild of that occupation, and then they get screeners and they can vote for the award in that category. So, in some ways it can be a popularity. You know what I mean? It's like if Christian's my friend and we're both directors and I don't like Bob, then I might vote for Christian, right?
And it also feels like some years there are movies that are only made to win the Oscar. And the one I remember the most is The King's Speech. Did you guys see The King's Speech?
I did.
It was a good movie, but it screamed just Oscar bait to me.
Yeah.
Like The Artist?
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think The Artist is Oscar bait?
I mean, I think that anything that's going to come out and be very different from almost everything else that year is definitely going to be something that is going to fall into that category. Like La La Land is right.
Yeah,
like what other music?
It's
right?
about an aspiring actress in LA. Like,
right. They should do a musical where nobody speaks.
Isn't that a rock opera? What we have now, speaking of La La Land, it won screenplay, it won director, it won actor in comedy for actor and actress, and it won Best Picture comedy. So it pretty much swept its categories, original score and original song as well. How do you think it's going to do with the Oscars? Because I've heard that movies that win at the Golden Globes, they generally don't win the same awards at the Oscars. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, it's Golden Globes are sometimes it's like the first of the award shows. There's a bunch of other ones that I all don't watch leading up to the Oscars, but since it's like the first, it's harder to kind of predict what's going to happen down the line. And there are a lot of movies that like aren't really relevant during the Golden Globes. Like for instance, Silence, Scorsese's new film.
Yep.
They didn't even send out screeners for the Golden Globe voters, but it's eligible for the Oscars, and it could pick up momentum and, do really well. Its critics' reviews have been pretty good, and viewers have been kind of crappy. I think La La Land is going to win a bunch of awards at the Oscars because song and score are pretty well wrapped up. I think Emma Stone's pretty well wrapped up. It has a shot at Best Picture, and I think it has a shot at cinematography.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be... It's a pretty good year for movies. How do you think 2016 compared to the last, let's say, like 5 years or so? Do you think it's a strong year, or is it a weaker year?
It's a strange year for me. There are not a lot of big movies.
Yeah.
All the movies that are in the running are kind of relatively small for the grand scheme of things. Like La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, even Arrival, which is probably the biggest of the bunch. It hasn't even broken 100 mil at the box office yet. Not to say that it's not doing well. It's doing well, but it's just smaller. It seems like it's trending more indie-ish than it used to be.
That has anything to do with now people don't go to the theater and they watch movies on Netflix. And now, I don't know, like smaller, less budget movies are getting more recognized because maybe the Academy realizes that people aren't seeing these huge blockbuster movies anymore. I don't know if that's right or wrong. But
are there usually blockbuster movies that are nominated for Academy Awards? Like last year, I can't really think of anything that was.
No, the past 3 years, it hasn't been huge movies, but I feel like the like movies up for like awards have been getting smaller. I want to say.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind. Well, there was Gravity that was nominated a few years ago, which I thought had no business being nominated for Best Picture. And then there was the one that won, which was Argo, which I thought should not have won Best Picture as well. So those are like I don't know if blockbuster is the right word, but those are the two I can think of most recently.
But how much of it goes into, or how much of it is about if somebody like deserved it before and now they have a film and this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
that's how I felt about DiCaprio last year at the Oscars. Eddie Redmayne was so much better in The Danish Girl than DiCaprio was in The Revenant. I firmly stand by that. He should have won 2 in a row. And Tom Hardy was better than DiCaprio in The Revenant.
that.
I think DiCaprio was like playing up to him. Honestly, I thought he outperformed him. So I was a little disappointed, but I felt like everyone needed Leo to get his award for some reason.
Yeah,
they do that a lot. It seems like they're kind of doing that for Damien Chazelle right now with all the awards he won at the Golden Globes, because everyone loved Whiplash, but it wasn't like big enough for them to give it a shot, which I might happen to Moonlight this year, I'm hearing, but who knows.
I think the one I can remember the most being that way was Alan Arkin in Little Miss Sunshine. They gave him an Oscar for that movie, which he was good in, but I almost feel like since he was getting older, they were like, we need to give him an Oscar before the end of his career, and they just kind of gave it to him for Little Miss Sunshine. With that being said, I do love Little Miss Sunshine. So,
and did that happen to Bruce? Did that happen to Bruce Stern too? The year that Nebraska was nominated, I can't remember if he actually won or not. But again, you have these. I'm trying to look really quickly. Academy Award for Best Actor. Yeah, so he won. But all those things sort of come into play, right? It's like, a really old person might win because they're getting voted on by their peers.
Yep.
And they want to do something. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of factors involved, I think.
Definitely. So best animated film was Zootopia, an animated film that talked about race. Either of you see Zootopia?
I did.
Oh, both you did. Okay, so thoughts on Zootopia? Should it have won? What's the name of the Hawaiian movie that was playing?
Moana.
Should it have beaten that one? Which one do you think was better?
So I didn't see Moana, but I was kind of bummed that My Life as a Zucchini didn't win. I didn't see it, but I love the title. I don't know.
I never even heard of that movie.
Yeah. No, but on a serious note, I haven't seen it either. Kubo and the Two Strings was like really, really well done. It took a long time to make, and the trailer looked really cool. But I did like Zootopia. I'm not like, disappointed that it won. It was pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, was that Pixar? Yeah, it looks like Disney made that and Pixar made it. Yeah, I'm wondering if they have a leg up with just being a Pixar movie on winning the award.
I think more just the story, like its commentary on race using animals is like a good way of like educating kids on it, and they made that pretty clear in their acceptance speech.
They did. They just said that.
Yeah, they pretty much said that. So,
I want to talk about TV a little bit because I don't really talk about TV too much on this. So before I do that, let's do the same thing. What's the best show you watched in 2016 and the worst show you watched in 2016? Keith, we'll start with you.
So I think Fargo has to be the best show that I've seen probably ever. I think this season was. Have you guys seen the Fargo TV show?
No.
You should really. It's really great. So that was really good. So every season it's different characters, a different ensemble. And this year, was it Kirsten Dunst was in it? I think this year. I can't even now remember the years, but and Jesse Plemons from Friday Night Lights. I think that was this year. The worst show.
It's tougher.
I don't know. That's harder because if I'm not really gravitating towards things that I don't like.
Maybe
I tried to.
The biggest disappointment for you.
I tried to watch that Mozart of the Jungle or In the Jungle. It's an Amazon show because I have read good things about it, and I couldn't really get into it. I watched 1 or 2 episodes and then I just sort of stopped.
Bob, what about you?
That's tough. I think I've watched like 5 TV shows this year, maybe less. TV is getting really good, but I haven't been watching too much. My guilty pleasure is that Son of Zorn show. It's really, really dumb, but it just makes me laugh. It's that one. It airs on like Fox. It's like that giant like cartoon He-Man guy in like a real world, all real world actors, but like he's a cartoon. It's really, really dumb, but it's funny. But I watched Better Call Saul. I like that show. It's extremely slow moving, even slower than Breaking Bad was, but still enjoyable. So I like that show. I watched a few of those like Marvel shows, like the Luke Cage and the Jessica Jones and stuff. They make New York seem like such an evil place. It's like, oh, Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen is the worst, and it's like Hell's Kitchen is like Times Square and like the theater district. Like, it's like, what are you talking about?
So for me, I feel like I'm gonna sound like everybody else in the world, but I thought Stranger Things was the biggest surprise. Like, I really liked Stranger Things a lot. My biggest disappointment was probably Westworld, and I say that because I found that extremely slow moving, and at times it's like really great, and then it'd be really slow for another like 45 minutes. So I'm not a huge Westworld fan. I don't hate it, but
Everyone goes nuts over that show and tells me I have to watch it. Keith,
But
didn't Matt work on that show?
Matt DeGeneres?
Matt DeGeneres?
I don't know. I know that he worked on Vinyl. Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe.
Did that
Okay.
get canceled?
I don't know.
That was canceled, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But do you think that they changed the pacing because they're realizing a lot of people aren't waiting? Like that's the thing I don't understand is like, so before when people were writing for TV, they were assuming that you were watching it at a certain interval.
Right.
But now people are watching it all different ways. And I've noticed some things that I've tried to, quote, binge watch that I don't like because I feel like it's the same thing all the time. But meanwhile, if a week went in between, like maybe I wouldn't really be so bothered by it.
That's interesting because I found that Westworld, they did it on purpose, but they would repeat scenes over and over again to help give. It was like giving you clues as to what's happening. You know how they'll do that in TV shows. And it was on HBO, so it did play week to week, but I watched it all at once. And I feel like maybe if I had watched it week to week, I would have enjoyed it more. So that's a pretty good point. I didn't even think of that.
I have trouble remembering shows when you binge watch them. Like sometimes you can't resist. You're like wrapped up in the show and you just have to watch them all.
Yeah.
But then you like when you try to reference like the shows, all the episodes are like a blur and you kind of forget the episodes, where if you watch them like spread out, I feel like I remember which ones are which and what happened.
It just kind of like takes over your life too. Like I would come home from work, like make dinner, then watch TV literally until I had to go to bed, until I was finished with the show.
Well, you know what's hard about it too is that you can't have a conversation about a TV show anymore with anybody. Like, you know, like we're doing right now. If you see a movie, we can say, "Oh, you saw this, you saw this. Oh my God, well, I thought blah blah blah." But with TV shows, it's like you see something, you're like, "Oh, are you watching Stranger Things?" Yeah. Oh my God. So wait a minute. What number are you on? Well, I'm on 6. No, I'm on 2. Okay. Don't tell me anything that happens after 2. Well, I don't know. I don't know where 2 ends and where 6 ends, and that's really frustrating to me.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
So.
That happens in my office all the time.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, there's no
there's
no water cooler talk anymore, right? There's no, you know, it used to be you watch something, everybody watched something on a Thursday, and Friday morning you'd go to work and be like, "What the hell was that?" You know, and now you that doesn't happen.
Yeah, everybody kind of yells out spoilers and won't let you talk about anything anymore.
Right.
I remember when Lost was coming out, like it was still right before the Netflix boom happened. So like week to week, you could talk about the episode and how crazy it was. Now Lost would just be on Netflix, which it is, and I tried to rewatch it and I could not get through it. But that show would not be good to binge watch. Just saying.
Well, you know what's funny? I was watching the Golden Globes I was in Brooklyn with a friend and my sister and her boyfriend, and we got back a little bit late. They said rewind the opening, and we watched the opening with Jimmy Fallon. Can we talk about this now a little bit?
I want to talk about Jimmy Fallon, yeah.
Okay. So, you know, the funny thing is that all of these people had different references of things, right? Like I'd say, well, who's that? And they'd be like, oh, that's his character from Game of Thrones, which I don't know anything about. And they like talk about it all the time. And I was like, I don't really care. Why are you talking about this? I don't know what you're talking about. Stop talking about it. And then the Stranger Things happened, and like Barb came out of the pool, and the other two were laughing. The other two were like, "Who's that? What's happening? Why are they making a big deal?" You know,
I had no idea what the hell was going on during that thing.
You wouldn't. So it's like, oh, we have an inside joke, and you have an inside joke, and so I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and if you didn't see La La Land, none of the jokes were funny.
Of course, right? You'd be like, "What's happening here?"
Yeah, it's interesting. The series that won Best Series Drama, I had never even heard of, but it was a Netflix series. Has that happened before? I don't remember a Netflix series winning. It's a big deal because now Netflix are Netflix movies eligible to win Oscars now? Or what's happening in the world of Netflix?
No, I think Oscar movies has to be it has to have a theatrical release
Okay.
during a certain time frame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of these things come out at the end of the year because they want it to be fresh in everybody's mind.
I'm wondering if eventually they'll get rid of that rule because streaming's going to become even more popular eventually.
I don't know. It's the Academy. I don't really know. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, right? We don't even take into account that people could be voting for these things that they've never seen them.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of ridiculous.
Right?
Yeah. But so what were your thoughts on Jimmy Fallon as a host? I really liked Ricky Gervais when he hosted like a few years ago. I think he did a couple years in a row.
I think it was last year too.
Last year?
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon for me, I don't know. What do you guys think about Jimmy Fallon?
I really like
because he frequents the show.
I really liked the opening a lot.
I missed the opening. I was cooking chicken and I missed the opening.
Do you don't have a DVR there? You couldn't rewind it a little bit?
No, I'm not paying for that.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I really liked that. I liked how they were referencing all these things, and you feel good about it if you know what those things are, right? But like Bob, you don't know Stranger Things.
Not at all.
Were there other things that you were like, I don't know what that is? I mean, you knew La La Land, so you had that reference.
Anything TV based, I didn't understand at all.
Which there was a bunch of stuff there. So I really enjoyed that. But to be honest with you, I don't really remember him except when that whole thing happened with Hugh Grant, which was really weird, where like they announced that he was the winner, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, see, I missed all this happening.
Yeah. Well, and we're used to, and TV, we're used to doing other things while we were doing the same thing. We were eating dinner. So I missed some things too. But yeah, so that's really all. I mean, the only thing I really remember about Jimmy Fallon was the opening and the fact that he had a DJ who really wasn't DJing during the show. So I'm guessing maybe he was.
Well, they had Julia Louis-Dreyfus at one point.
I saw that. Yeah.
DJ.
That was funny. She even had like the hair pick in her hair. Did you notice that?
Yeah, she's great. This show, The Night Manager, won a bunch of stuff. I've never seen The Night Manager.
I've never seen it either.
That was Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie did win for Best Supporting Actor.
And everyone was quoting him throughout the night. They're like, I didn't see his speech, but I kind of knew what he said just because everyone was like, oh, Hugh Laurie said this. And like, I agree with Hugh Laurie. Everyone's going crazy over him. Maybe he's going to like get a boost in his career after this. It hasn't been around much lately.
I know. He's looking pretty old, too. He hasn't... It's been a while since House. But, okay. So.
Oh, wait. I have another comment on Jimmy Fallon. Sorry. I didn't like him as a host that much. I loved when they did the little Chastain and the Redmayne.
Oh, that was funny.
In the membrane.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
It was just like the whole like. It was like they rushed at the show. It was weird. They like rushed the hell out of like when they show what movies were nominated. Like you don't even understand like what was nominated by the time they announce it. But they like have all these like drawn out bits that like for the most part weren't that good. And it was like, what are you like focusing on? And then they did that, and I was like, okay, like it just like I was dying. I was really dying. It's like did they really just bring both of those actors up at the same time just so they can do that like silly little bit with Eddie Redmayne and Jessica Chastain? It was like, and Eddie Redmayne wasn't even. I don't think he was nominated for anything. He was just there, I guess.
Is he?
Don't they use last year's nominees or winners as the presenters? Is that why? Did he win last?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So he was in the Danish Girl, correct?
Mm.
Yeah, that was last year. Yeah, and he should have won Best.
I was just reading about him. I didn't realize he was like 35 years old. I thought he was like 24 years old.
I would have thought he was younger too.
Yeah, he's like the youngest looking guy ever, and he's 35. All right, so we could talk a little bit about television, even though that we haven't seen a lot of it. The People vs. O.J. Simpson, that seemed to take a lot of categories: best television or miniseries, actress. I don't know if either of you saw that.
I didn't, but I heard really good things about it, and I want to see it.
Yeah.
And Ryan Murphy, I think he does really cool stuff.
Yeah. There's just so much content.
Is John Travolta actually in it? He was on stage when they won.
Yeah, he plays what? The Kardashian? No, he plays. Who does he play? He's in it. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I was
So-
confused. I thought he just went up there for fun. I was like, wait, what? Why is John Travolta here?
He plays Robert Shapiro.
Oh,
He's
okay,
looking
that's
pretty
awesome.
young.
I definitely want to see it now.
Travolta's looking pretty young these days.
Well, he's had a lot of facelifts and he wears a wig.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Don't get us started on wigs. Let's not go there.
I feel like this concludes our Golden Globe recap for now. Thanks, guys, for coming on to talk about it. I feel like we didn't see a lot of the stuff, so some of the stuff we can't really comment that too much on that. There was one last thing I wanted to mention, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, all right. So let's talk about Carrie Fisher first.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah.
How'd
okay.
you know that?
I was going to say, was it the Carrie Fisher Debbie Reynolds tribute? Because that was the other big part of the night.
Yeah. So I don't know, how familiar are you with Debbie Reynolds? Because I'm definitely more familiar with Carrie Fisher. Do you know a lot about her, what she's done?
So I had that the night before we had watched the HBO documentary that had just come out on Saturday about both of them. So I just seen that.
They just happened to make that movie, and then they both died.
They happened to be making that movie for a while. Fisher Stevens, I think, directed it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like death is everybody dies, right? And it just so happened that at the end of 2016, everybody dies.
Is that a movie? I'm confused.
Yeah. So, but it seemed to be super upset about everything that was happening at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because it was all happening at once, I guess. But this was weird. I mean, this was super sad. I think people might be more upset, especially the Star Wars people, because what this means for this franchise that they're so invested in. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I went to go see Rogue One a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a Star Wars fan you are, Keith.
I saw it.
Oh, you did? Okay. So
Yep.
the fact that they CGI'd Peter Cushing into that movie, that's his name, right? I have that right.
Has Bob seen Rogue One?
I have.
Okay.
So they CGI'd Peter Cushing, and then they also CGI'd Carrie Fisher before
Right.
she had died. So
Right.
I'm wondering in the future for films if they're going to start bringing back all these actors and actresses that have died, and are they going to bring back Carrie Fisher for the next 2 Star Wars movies?
So she already filmed the scenes for the next movie,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I'm assuming she lives at the end of the next movie. I don't know. She could.
Well, I was reading today because the Entertainment Weekly magazine, she's on the cover of it, and they were saying that she had a really big role in the one they haven't shot yet. So they really have to figure out how they're going to change everything, right? Which is
They
crazy.
should just stop making Star Wars movies because
Yeah.
they all suck. But
It's
Sorry.
the thing is that I think that her death is really going. This other next movie is probably going to be the biggest one ever because people are going to be really curious into what's going on with that.
Yeah, I didn't realize too that Carrie Fisher, she's definitely known most for Star Wars, but she was also a pretty talented writer. Correct? She did
Mhm.
she wrote screenplays, she wrote books.
Yep.
So it is.
Yeah,
a
I
big
had
loss.
seen. Yeah, so I had seen Wishful Drinking, which HBO filmed. I had seen that live on Broadway, and then I just watched When Harry Met Sally last weekend, which she was in, that I haven't seen in a really long time
Yeah.
either.
She had a
um,
really dark sense of humor, from what I hear.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's crazy because the mother and daughter died within days of each other.
Carrie Fisher has a daughter as well, whose grandmother and mother just died. So
Right.
and
right.
so I think is Carrie Fisher's daughter in the new Star Wars movie? I think I was looking on IMDb.
She was in the one that just came out, not Rogue One, but the other Star Wars movie. I don't think she had a big part. But she was just in it.
I did not realize that. So she was in The Force Awakens.
Yes, she's
So-
in that movie, that TV show Scream Queens.
Yes, I did know that. I didn't realize you were a Star Wars fan, Keith.
So I wouldn't consider myself a Star Wars fan. Star Wars came out in 1977 or 78, right? So I was like
77.
3. I remember going to see The Empire Strikes Back in the movie theater, and I remember my first grade teacher looked like Yoda. And then she's probably dead now, so I think it's okay.
That's what to say about you when we.
That's that I look like Yoda or that I'm dead. But I went to see The Force Awakens because number one, we got free tickets to see it in IMAX when we went to the View last December, and then two, I was really curious in how these old characters were going to come back, and that's really the only reason why I was really interested.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I saw Rogue One. It was okay. I get confused at who all the people are and what their names are, and they're all these white men with British accents. I can't tell them apart. So that's where I sort of go with that. And then when they CGI'd her at the end, I was like, wow, that's interesting. And when I saw it from behind, I said, what is this? And then the minute she came on the screen, I was like, okay, how's this happen? Like, I'm trying to look to see the fakeness there, knowing that it has to be.
I think she looked more fake than Peter Cushing's character did.
Yeah.
He was done really well. So, Bob, any last comments on Rogue One? I just did a Rogue One podcast last week, but do you have any comments on it?
I did listen to it. I was kind of bummed that you guys didn't comment on the fact that the movie had no purpose whatsoever. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining, I guess. I love the robot is finally like the only likable Star Wars character in all like 9 movies or whatever it is. But it just, for me, it like had no purpose except monetarily. It's like, what happens before, what happens after, and it doesn't change anything except fill in like a plot hole. In the original Star Wars, is like, how is it so easy to blow up the Death Star? But like, I don't know if that warranted a movie to fix that.
It was pretty flat as far as characters go. I feel like they didn't have much personality. And Keith, you said you get confused by all the characters, and it doesn't help that they have names like Jyn Erso and all these other crazy names that are hard to remember. I am looking forward to the next Star Wars movie in the series, but I wish they would stop doing these spin-offs and different.
Well, they know that they have an audience that will pay anything to go see these movies.
Yeah, like me. I hate Star Wars, and I still end up seeing them all in theaters.
Yeah. But I'm really interested to go see this next one to see what's got really with the Carrie Fisher part of it, and then to see how that's going to end and go forward and blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know.
Well, that concludes my podcast with you guys. Before I go, I want to do the segment that started with you, Keith, and then forgot to do last week. It's What Are You Watching Currently? So, Bob, what are you watching currently?
What am I watching?
Not like right this second, but like as far as TV, movies, whatever. What are you into?
He's like, I've been watching a movie on my phone this whole podcast.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting texts that dinner's ready on set. And my phone just died. What am I watching?
What are you into as far as film or TV goes right now?
I'm pretty much in Oscar mode right now. I'm just trying to go to the theater as much as possible and watch whatever comes out. So I just saw Lion recently, and I looked like an absolute wreck when I saw it. I'm anxiously waiting for the new Rick and Morty season. I love that show for some reason. I guess that's what I'm watching. Oh, I'm watching the Mars documentary thing.
Wow. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. Mars. I'm excited about Mars. Going to Mars. Yeah. Keith apparently.
I do not want to. I don't want to go to Mars. I have no desire to go to Mars.
Yeah. I actually volunteered. I didn't get accepted, but I volunteered at one point. They were asking people if they would do like a one-way mission to Mars.
No, don't do that. That's you're just gonna die. That's not good. Mission?
Yeah, you pretty much you're stuck there afterwards.
No, have you seen The Martian?
I did. It was pretty awesome. I love that movie.
I know I couldn't survive in space or war.
Even if there's disco music there?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't want to go to space.
I love disco.
What are you watching that doesn't include Mars?
So I just finished sort of binge watching that Sarah Jessica Parker HBO show Divorced because Matt had worked on the pilot of it.
Who was Matt? Let's give some context.
Matt DeGeneiro. So was he in the same? He's older than you guys, right? He graduated before you. Yeah. So he worked on the pilot. I was sort of curious how that worked. I got hooked on the pilot, and then through the middle part, I was sort of getting frustrated with the characters, but it ended really well. Molly Shannon is very funny in that show. And then, like Bob, I've been trying to see all these movies that will be potentially nominated for Oscars. I really look forward to going to see the shorts packages that they usually bring out in February. I really like those. I usually do those every year.
So let's agree to come back to do the Oscars recap. I'll try and watch more stuff so I can talk about more of it.
Okay. Do we get a prize for the person who's seen the most nominated films?
I usually see all of the best pictures. That's like
I couldn't.
my goal now,
I
yeah.
did that last year, but I could not get myself to watch the Mad Max movie. I just couldn't do it.
I didn't understand it at all. It was too weird for me.
But then, then the years that they nominate 10 movies, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, I think you should go back to 5. I liked 5 movies. But all right, well, thanks for coming on, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. This was fun.
Thanks for having me. I love this
You're
show,
welcome.
man. I
Thank
want to
you.
come back. Have
And
me
if
back
either of
anytime.
Well, if either of you are interested in writing some articles for the website, I don't know if you've been paying attention to our Facebook page, but we have articles coming up so far every day, but that's definitely not going to last. Every few days, hopefully. But you can check those out at mylifeismoviequote.com under the articles section. And then this podcast you can check out on iTunes, SoundCloud, and now our website, mylifeismoviequote.com.
Cool.
So there you go.
Wow, it's a big
Awesome.
deal now.
Big deal. I got to figure out how to advertise properly, though. So if you know any marketing people, let me know.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.